if you are constantly trying to change a behavior, a habit that you deem destructive in your life, whether that be an addiction to social media, to pornography, to sex, to food, to weed, to alcohol, whatever that behavior, habit, habitual action is, and you can't seem to break free from that, it's because you have made a subconscious agreement with that behavior or thought. And instead of focusing on the behavior or the habit, you need to identify the agreement that you've made and then go through the process of changing that agreement. So with that being said, I want to give you the definition of agreement, which is the oneness of opinion or of a feeling or purpose. So when I think of that definition and I think of the oneness of an opinion, a thought could come into your head that says, you're a loser, you're good for nothing, you're just an addict, you're worthless, you're never going to be anything. And that thought doesn't actually mean anything unless you come into agreement with it, unless you come and say, that's the one opinion. So if you're still watching pornography and addicted to it, it's because you've agreed with the statement or the thought or the thing that you're an addict, that you'll never be anything more than a pornography addict, that it has a grip on your life, that you can't break free from it. And the only reason I'm able to say this is because I've been addicted to almost everything in my life. Adderall, weed, food, alcohol, pornography, caffeine, like anything that can bring you an ounce of like fleshly pleasure, gambling, sports betting, anything that is in excess not good for you, I've been addicted to it. I mean, I even have in my drawer here my 1 month sobriety token, coin. I went to one Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, and it was transformative in my life. And not because of the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm nothing against them. They have helped a ton of alcoholics break free from their addiction in a way. Because they haven't really broken free from that addiction. They maintain the ideology and the self-identification of an addict for the rest of their lives. Do some people need that? I can't say. Me personally, after going to that meeting, that is not how I choose to live my life. I left that meeting being so freed from considering myself an addict because I was never going to put that label or agreement on myself that I am an addict. Yes, my current habits and actions might dictate an addiction, but I am not an addict. 1 Corinthians 15:31 says, I die daily. Skipping to verse 33, do not be deceived. Bad company corrupts good morals. Become sober-minded, as you ought, and stop sinning. For some have no knowledge of God, and I speak this to your shame. I really want to highlight that last snippet there. I speak this to your shame. Your shame is that voice inside your head, that thought that comes right after a success, right after a denial to that habit or action that is destructive to you. The shame says you have to live in that identity, that addiction. The shame says that you can't be anything else. The shame says that you're not worthy of being free from this addiction, that you did this, that you deserve this. That shame is a liar. There's freedom in Jesus Christ. Freedom from addictions, freedom from shame, freedom from guilt. And it's not something you have to earn. It's something that is freely given, and all you have to do is accept it. And so when it comes to identifying and changing that agreement, what it really comes down to is being aware of your thoughts. So whether that is boredom or anger or loneliness or whatever it is for you. For me, it was a feeling of not being understood, a feeling of guilt and shame. And that's why I always turn to these things. It was never the actual substance or thing that I was addicted to that I was really addicted to. It was really what I was addicted to, distracting and disconnecting myself from life. I was so discontent with myself that I couldn't sit in the present moment and be with myself. Like, that sounds crazy to think, but my thoughts would just be so rampant and my thoughts would be so out of control, like a whirlwind, and I thought no one understood and no one could understand. And everyone would think I was crazy if I expressed these thoughts. And honestly, that is kind of the case. Like, there are thoughts that you're not going to be able to share with anyone. You can't go up to a stranger on the road and tell them what you're thinking. But there are certain people that will give you space to be yourself, where you can actually express frustration, anger, guilt, shame, and speak these things and thoughts in your mind. Because what I've really realized is the thoughts have no power when they're brought to light. When they're in darkness and festering like a wound festers with an infection, that's when they're uncontrollable and you cannot beat them. So I viewed my addictions as streaks. It was like a game to where how long I can be free from this thing. I never dug deeper. I just used, honestly, willpower, momentum to fuel my efforts into breaking free from these addictions. But I never investigated further. I just stopped watching pornography, or I stopped drinking cold turkey, or I stopped smoking, whether that be in sober October or right before I'm getting married and I didn't have a sip of alcohol for 120 days or something like that. But the underlying agreement was the same with all of these things, that I wasn't content with myself and that I needed to distract myself from myself. And so I used to view myself as through the lens of shame that said I was only worthy when I was X amount of days away from something. And so it would create these perpetual cycles of continued sin, continued destructive habits that would then lead to more destructive habits. And it's super confusing and doesn't make any sense, because it's like, why would you not want to do something, but because you didn't want to do it and you did it, you do it again? Like, that really makes no sense. But in my mind, that was like the only thing I could do, because I viewed myself through my actions instead of viewing myself through my agreements, through my oneness of opinion. Because if you don't agree with that thought that says you're worthless, that you will never be more than this addiction, then it has no hold on you. I view myself in who I want to be and who I'm becoming. And I look to the future, and I have my present actions working towards who I want to be in the future, instead of allowing my present actions to be dictated by past habits and patterns. If this video struck a chord with you, or if you have a question about something, or you desire help in a certain area, whether that be your habits, your mentality, your relationship with God, join my school community. Link's going to be in the bio of this video. It's a completely free community, and I just created it, and so I'm going to be, everyone that joins right away, free call, whatever you want to do. Like, I really want to tailor this community to people who desire to better themselves. Think of me as if I am like a big brother in a way. I never had one, and I had to kind of struggle through this life and figure these things out on my own. And yes, there's like people on the internet, like the Jordan Petersons, the Joe Rogans, the Alex Hormozis, these people that like, you can see the success and you're like, that I can have that. But also the reality of right now and that success, there's a lot of winding road and up and down treacherous battles that you have to go through in order to see this success. And so whether that's talking through your agreements or evaluating a mentality or mindset that you have, I would love to just be a part of that process. Like I said, it's completely free. You got nothing to lose. Hop on a Zoom call with me for 30 minutes. We'll talk about your situation and see what you can do to shift that mindset. Because my whole goal in life is to be successful in all areas. I don't want to just make money and have a terrible relationship with my wife. I don't want to have a great relationship with my wife and have no friends. I don't want to have money but have no purpose and pursue something that actually matters. Like, I want all of these things, and I believe that I come into agreement that they're all possible. That is my agreement, is that I can have all of these things because I believe that the Spirit of God lives inside of me and will guide me into all truth. That's it. It's super simple. The whole message of the Bible is really simple, but it went over my head for a long time, and I'm now finally starting to understand it. And in order for me to better understand it, I want to help teach it to someone who might not understand it as well.